The Wandering Tavern has finally flown my way. This is by Homie and the Dude. We've talked about the Kickstarter before, but this is the PDF. This is an overview. Let's see what I'll be covering in more depth soon. Contents-wise, talks about it being system agnostic and gives 5e stats as well, because that's very prominent in the TTRPG space. If you don't know, it's a Studio Ghibli inspired setting. Airships, Zephyrs, and this is the Wandering Tavern. It's huge. So we get to learn how it came about, its origin. We'll look into locations, who is there and what story points we can be inspired by. Some downtime games, because it's like a gambling den in part. There's some recipes that I hope to try a couple of and film. There are spirits on this ship, and there's even a festival around them. Magic items, which obviously I like, and then some plug and play Zephyrs, and then the parts and the breakdowns of those vehicles. There's also text from Amelia, journalist of the Travelling Scribes. She talks about seeing the Wandering Tavern float overhead when she was a child. And eventually Amelia gets on the ship and talks about it throughout in little bits. As I say, system agnostic. So talks about the conversion from whatever game you're playing. And it says like 10 hit points, we have very low durability. And that's how I work as a DM anyway. Very grey areas that change as I'm playing. So the checks that you ask for as a DM or what have you, physical agility check, well, you know, you can have a strength one or a dex one if you're playing 5e. This requires you to choose a system relevant ability that best relates to physical agility. So whether you're playing Shadow Dark or Ken or D&D or Call of Cthulhu, you can play on this Zephyr. But the lingo, if you are in the TTRPG space, will be obvious. Buff, to buff something. You add a bonus to an ability. To nerf, a reduction to an ability or stat or what have you. So ability and balance would be dodging and nimbleness. Muscle, power, force, it's obvious. Strength, isn't it? So it has a little key trying to just say, you might not understand the term, but you know what the word is. Influence, trickery, seduction. You get the idea of how to use it in the correct way. So as I say, here is a system agnostic stat block, but there is also a proper 5e NPC stat block with things. This immense floating town is a host of activity with many intricate layers to explore, including bars, hotels, game halls, docks, bungee jumps, and a dark underbelly teeming with secrets. It's a world unto itself and your imagination. So whereas now the Zephyr is massive, it wasn't always that way. So the origin story talks about Salius, a gnome, abandoned by his family on his 10th birthday, and then he travelled in a one-person Zephyr called the Wanderer. If I click this, it takes us to the Wanderer's picture and stat block. So 218 hit points, it carries 14 people, so it's not exactly tiny. So here, base speed points and the 45-degree turn, because we're in the air. We sort of have to go back to the Sky Zephyr book that came before this. Proud to say I have my Sky Zephyrs book, as the Wandering Tavern and Sky Zephyrs itself is going to be in my homebrew campaign. So you get the basic stats and then you actually get a breakdown of the pieces, the two bubble balloons, as in the art. Propulsion is obvious enough. Confrontation is actually the weapons. A flame-tipped harpoon. And so I figure here is the best place to start understanding the ships, etc. So just to finish off, a quick overview of the lore. We get a timeline of the Wandering Tavern as it grew into what it is today. So it's been around over 200 years, over 300 years, 370 years, when the Hideaway Hotel is under construction. Now back to Salius on his little Wanderer. He docks at a Zephyr, and then when he comes back to the Wanderer, he finds a ginger cat, which he names Fergus, on his deck. And so that becomes his new pet, and he's off on his travels. And then we learn how it became so huge. Now you can base your sessions around these celebrations, the creation, an annual holiday celebrating the founder of the Wandering Tavern, where the children carve out wood into cat formations and paint them orange like Fergus. There's also a Day of the Spirits, where the spirits trapped in the rooms and corridors actually can be seen for a full day. Now a lot of the living have spirit wards which keep them safe from the dead. There's also the underbelly though, the Claw Mafia, led by Don Ignacio. This is where your party will get into scrapes and cool chase scenes, things like that. There's also the Bake Off if you're into cooking aspects, as we'll get into later. Key locations and plot hooks. So there's lower levels, mid levels and upper levels. And I also have the digital maps for these areas and layers. So yeah, you've got the art for the different areas. And we're looking at the underbelly of the ship, the engine rooms, the laundry rooms, and the real workings of. And so helm and main engineering floor. You can always find Captain Emmanuel Emerson and his first mate Leandro Schmitti in the helm, along with many members of the navigating team. So we'll get to the NPCs shortly. And as we go through the ship, you find the plot hooks, tells you where the plot hooks lead and gives you the NPCs related to it. Show you the maps soon. All what you find on the mid-levels, and then again, the plot hooks, etc. The maps in brief. And trust me, there's loads of content here. And we get to some of the people who you can run into. Talks about their plot hooks, gives you more information. We have the captain here, who was just mentioned earlier, Emmanuel Emerson. Personality, his law, the plot hook. Leandro Schmitti, first mate. And then a 5e stat block, if you require one. Carries a gyroscope, wrench, +3 to hit. Average of 3 bludgeoning damage. A language I understand. Now I like this guy. I think this guy is someone I'm going to pinch to be in my actual world, to introduce them to this whole airborne adventure. He just speaks to me, this guy. Maybe they've landed to repair or collect supplies, and he will invite them on board. Now, I find these system agnostic stat blocks easy enough. He's got low defense. Okay, he's got an 8 AC or 11 AC. Durability is like his health points. He doesn't have many, let's say 9. Standard movement, 30 feet. Okay, what's his weapon? It's melee, dealing a very low amount of system-relevant pounding and blunt damage. Bludgeoning, 1d4 bludgeoning, fine. And I just put his picture on screen and do a voice, and they've got him. System agnostic, a bit more of a beast. And then we've got a 5e1 stat block anyway, so we go through and be inspired by the images and whatever text we have here. And this is only an overview, so I'm skipping through. You have plenty. You meet them around the ship and do with them as you will. There are suggestions, as I say. You read their lore. There's the Claw Mafia. If you want to just take some of these as inspiration and just use them on their own, and have your story go off wherever it goes. It's absolutely fine. So downtime, being in a bar area, we have sort of bar games, card games, and their actual rules for playing. You roll a d20, decide how much you're going to bet. Each player rolls a secret d8, noting the result. They place another round of bets, reach the chosen number or go bust. Then it's whoever's closest. Then we have like archery, the rules for archery, the points given. Outermost ring up to bullseye, you score up to 20 points. To pierce the target's bullseye, players must beat or hit AC 25. And then we get to the recipes. And there are several literal recipes. Now this is quite big recently. Heroes Feast, the Netflix show, and the books they've revealed. And then we're on to illegal trades, which has a warning because, you know, drugs in games has to be spoke about seriously. I have drugs in one particular drug in my game, but I want to look through these at a later date because some of us like that sort of thing. And then spirits that we spoke about, we go more in depth on the spirit wards which keep the people safe, what to do if you encounter a spirit, some NPCs of spirits stats here. And then this cool dude, don't know who he is, but I look forward to reading Sleth. Ugh. And then magic items from this dodgy fella. Sal's drinking pouch, Sal's chest of sleep, drink me potion, eat me cake, backpack of mechanised wings, shock glove, and then on to plug and play ones. So you don't have to necessarily build it all yourself. You can just pick this up and say, okay, this is what you see, or this is what attacks you, or this is what you can buy. That's what I intend to do. I intend to give them a small ship, and then they can save up and purchase additional pieces to make it huge over the years that we play. Now, Homie and the Dude also have, in conjunction with these stats, their shipbuilding website. And this is where you can actually take all the pieces and put them together and create your own stat block for your own ease. Now, it's important to note that if you want any of these products, go into my description and get yourself on my link to their products and you will save yourself some money. We even have the stat blocks for the Wandering Tavern itself and a breakdown of all the things that is on there, the parts that make it up. And so, yeah, a lot of content which I look forward to digging into. So thanks to Homie and the Dude, and I look forward to further collaboration with them, and please check out their products.